Welcome to Freed on Business. He grew up in South Florida, has been in business here since the early 90s, and has closed over $3 billion in deals. He's seen it all. He always has an opinion, and he's always ready to share it. Informed, entertaining, and connected, he has his finger on the pulse of South Florida's business community. He's Jim Freed, and this is Freed on Business.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Freed on Business. Today's edition is going to be about how to pull money out of your house using a HELOC, a reverse mortgage, or even going into the mortgage market today. We'll talk about interest rate trends, new topics in the mortgage business, mortgage financing for residential single-family homes, owner-occupied. I'm going to have my partner, Ed Cairo, on. Ed and his team of his brothers have been doing this for combined like 60 years at this point, so they really know what's going on. As always, I want to thank our friends at Warren Henry, Larry, Eric, Maytal, Jack, my whole team over there. I love them like family. They treat me like family. It's a wonderful experience if you're looking to buy or lease a car. So go up to 151st and Biscayne and see my friends at Warren Henry. Mr. Mendoza, where's Ed Cairo, the man, the myth, and by the end of this show, the legend? There he is. How's my favorite pizza man? So, Ed, before we get started, let's talk about why I call you the pizza man. Tell us a little bit about what your family had up in New York before you moved down here.
Well, our background is the pizza business, and my dad started his pizza restaurant in the 50s, and it's still there, as a matter of fact, in Manhattan, in the Garment Center. And when we came down to Florida, we opened up a restaurant again, probably 3 or 4 of them, for about 20 years, and we continued to make food for South Florida for quite a long time. So I've retired from that world, and now I'm in this world, which is the mortgage world.
You know, my dad had a factory in the Garment District. I'm sure he ate your dad's pizza.
I'll bet he did. Sure.
Oh my gosh. I wish he was around so I could ask him. Wouldn't that be something?
That is amazing. You know, it's funny because it's been around about 75 years. And when I go back there, it's exactly the same recipes, same everything.
Oh my God. It sounds like the place that Bobby from Billions goes to in Manhattan. You ever see that? How he has his pizza place he supports?
Really Oh yeah. When you go there, I'll make sure you know that you'll go take a look.
I can't wait to go. You should send me the email. I'll send my partner Jim up. He'll go take a look and I'll buy him a slice. So Ed, let's talk about it. We haven't made a pizza yet today, although we've been cooking 3 or 4 all day long.
Yes.
That's our code for saying the deals we're working on. Ed, I want to thank you for all the help you're giving me with my friends and the referrals that I'm getting. You know, there's nothing better or a better endorsement than getting referrals, and I'm starting to get a lot of referrals from people. So that's really speaks volumes more about you guys than about me. Tell us a little bit about your team over there at American Home Finance.
Well, our team is consists of 2 brothers and myself. So there's 3 of us. We call ourselves the Mortgage Brothers. And I am pretty much the opener. My younger brother, Greg, is the middle guy, and my older brother, Paul, is the closer. And he's the closer, so you got to watch it, with him. So he's
eventually going to photobomb us. I know him.
That's what I mean. So you got to be careful when you deal with Paul.
So you guys have been doing this for years. Now, your loans are from banks, right? When we're talking today, we're talking about banks and financial institutions. We're not talking about private lenders or hard money lenders. These are all readily available without any real onerous outside charges or costs that people could expect with a private loan. This is all coming from real banks and real lenders that are national lenders that we work with all the time that you develop relationships with, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I very rarely do any private mortgages. I mean, for the most part, we work with banks, and I've got a ton of them that we are approved with, that are partners with, and depending on the deal. That's why we have so many, because each bank has a different guideline, you might say, and we try to take the loan and place it in the right institution that works for the customer.
So Ed, let's talk about what's really on people's minds. Rates have gone up. They went above 7% for a while. Now they're down below 7%. They seem to have stabilized. I saw a great graphic in one of the emails you sent me that talked about the rate spread and how it's really out of line with historic. And if it was a historic spread, we'd only be in the low 5s, but because it's not, we're in the mid 6s. So somebody's taking 100 basis points out of everybody's pocket. What's really going on with rates? You talk to people. What's your feel? I know we're not in Las Vegas, so I'm not going to bet money on this. What's your feel?
The rates, and you're right, they've definitely stabilized. They were up a little higher. They're a little bit lower now than they were prior 6 months, let's say. I feel like the rates are going to stay where they're at for a little while. I kind of think when the election comes along, they're going to artificially lower them so the politicians.
I agree completely. It's a historic thing. It's a fact. It's a fact that even though they're supposed to be independent, they're going to lower the rates a little bit or make the world a little bit apparently better. Inflation's kind of now appears to be somewhat under control. Apparently, I don't really know. And, if their stated goal is beginning to be reached, they're going to stop increasing the rates. Maybe we'll see one more just to show everybody how tough they are. But hopefully we're done with that. And then I don't know that we'll see a rate decrease for a while. But, I think that they're going to be in alignment with that. So if rates are sort of stable right now, and let's remind everybody that the 30-year historic rate has been over 8%, and we're at the mid-6s now. So you're 150 basis points below the historic rate. Ed, we're starting to see people come off the sidelines for all kinds of loans, correct?
Yes. And the loans that we're doing now are a little different than we were doing, let's say, a year ago, because the reality is, and everybody knows it, I mean, if you had a 3% loan before, you're not interested in refinancing it for a 6.5% loan or a 6% loan. So there's got to be alternatives, and there are. And we have a lot of solutions to help people in that. There'll be a time that we can refinance out of whatever we're doing now when the rates do drop eventually, if they ever do. But for now, I mean, and the rates, even at these numbers, like you said, are nothing crazy. It's not as horrible as people kind of think, because it historically, this is actually a good time for rates.
So let's talk about some of the methodologies, and these are things that somebody with a lot of gray hair, they remember what this is. So you got a little bit of gray there too, Ed. Yeah, but you see, I got the 5 head going. You still have a 4 head.
I do. 5.
So, well, I couldn't resist. Now you bring your brother on, I'll break his chops about him too. So Ed, let's talk about a couple of things that you and I have been working on. First of all, we have one of our old clients that I've worked with in the past. A very high net worth individual. They needed to pull some cash out of their home. I got them a loan in the low 3s just about a year and a half ago. They've seen a lot of appreciation because they're on the water here in urban Miami-Dade County. So tell us a little bit about the process. We're getting that person what we're calling a HELOC. Let's talk about that. How does that differ from other loan request processes? And what are the factors people need to know about, because they're all going to want to keep these lower rates in place, but they're also going to want to start pulling out some of the equity that they've gotten from the natural price increase that's gone on here in South Florida.
In the case of that particular client, the value of his home is quite extensive, and he owes maybe 30% of what his home is worth. So there's plenty of room to be able to pull out money. This is the second equity line we did for him. The first one was not approved because he hadn't filed his 22 tax returns. And with this particular lender, if you didn't do that, they wouldn't allow it. So we went to a different lender. That's why we have so many different lenders, because they're all different. This particular lender, we got him approved right away. The max loan amount that they'll do is $400,000, which is exactly what he wanted. He wanted between $400,000 and $500,000 to utilize for whatever he needed to utilize it for. We're approved. We are waiting on an appraisal, which really is insignificant, but it's just part of the guidelines because his property's worth plenty. There's no issue there. Basically, once we got it approved, we have some conditions that need to be satisfied. Certain tax returns and bank statements and different things that they're asking for, which we're working on. But he'll be approved. He'll be closed probably within the next week or two. As soon as the appraisal comes in, we'll be done.
So Ed, starting with the second lender, how long does the process take for this particular gentleman who's got a very difficult underwriting because of all the different limited partnerships he's involved with and extensive tax returns that need to be recrafted to tell the true cash flow story?
Exactly right, and that was part of it. It was a little difficult in the setup, but if we look at those docs first and really understand what we're dealing with, and it's a lot of it is in the presentation to the underwriter. We were able to kind of clean that up relatively quickly, and in this case, I'd say within 30 days, and it's actually going to be less than that, we'll get him $400,000 to use, which is basically a line of credit that he can utilize as he pleases. And if he pays it back, he still has the $400,000 to use for as long as he wants to use it.
Well, that's tremendous. That's
Yeah.
tremendous.
It's a 10-year, it's a 10-year draw, and then it has to be paid back like on a 20-year term after the 10 years.
And what kind of rate is available for that kind of loan today? For, this is in general, because I think everybody's different. They'll get different rates. But, if you were going to circle a range, somebody pretty good credit, full doc, what are they looking at today?
Yeah, good credit score. You're looking anywhere from probably in the mid-8s to the mid-9s, I'd say, depending on the deal and the client, the loan to value, and a couple of different factors that are involved. So, I mean, if you think about credit cards at 22% or 15 or whatever it is that you're
private loans at 14, come on.
Right. So, I mean, if you're borrowing at less than 10%, I mean, you can pay off a lot of those things, and the difference we can pay down the actual, loan amount and knock those cards out or do whatever it is that he needs to do. So it works for a lot of people. I got to tell you, we're doing a ton of them right now because it makes sense. Nobody wants to change the first mortgage, so they're taking the money the other way.
Now, for people that are able to find a home and buy that home, what kind of rates are they looking at today? First Fannie and Freddie, and then if they're non-conforming.
If you go Fannie and Freddie, you're looking in the 6s, I'd say. I mean, I've got somebody at 6.5, 6 1/4, 6 3/4. Some of it again depends on loan to value and credit score and so on and so forth. FHA, you're in the 5s. So again, that's what I'm saying. It's not as horrible as people think it is. If you're at 5.5 or 5 3/4 on an FHA loan,
tremendous.
Yeah,
tremendous based on a 30-year arc of history.
That's
My
right.
God. I remember when people would die for a 5, 5.5.
Yeah, and if you think about it, when the rates were in the 3s or whatever, there was 14 people waiting online. They paid $100,000 over what the person was asking, and so on and so forth. That's not the case anymore. The sellers are starting to give some concessions. We're getting prices less than they're asking. So even though the rate might be higher, they're actually in a lot of cases getting a better deal. People don't realize that, but that's what's going on, because once they secure that asset down the road, if the rates do come down, we can refinance them and have a better cash flow out of that property.
That's tremendous. That's a little nugget. That's a golden gem there that you just threw in there about the fact that the people are dropping their prices and you don't have to pay a premium anymore.
Yeah.
Let's switch subjects. There's another great vehicle that you and I have been working on with a number of people. I've been starting to get a lot of emails and requests for reverse mortgages. I originally counseled people against it. I told them that it was costly, that it was ridiculous. Don't do that. You're going to impair your major asset. And then I had a close friend that needed to get one, and I realized all my perceptions were wrong. So let's talk a little bit about it. Let's talk about reverse mortgage, who's a good candidate, what the cost might be, the different application process, because there are nuances. Can you walk us through that, Eddie?
There are. So on the reverse mortgages, I mean, it makes sense for certain people, and if anybody you have to be 62 years of age or older. Your spouse can be less, but 62 years of age or older. And what happens is basically a lot of these people, you get somebody that's 62 or 65 or 70 years old. They might be retired. They might be on Social Security, et cetera, pension. And those numbers are a little tight nowadays, especially with the insurance rates going up and all the things that are happening with, food and everything else. So what people are finding is that their cash flow has been tightening a lot as a retired person later on because they're on a fixed income. So with the reverse mortgage, the nice part about it is that you take a property that's worth, call it, $500,000, and maybe they don't have a mortgage on it. Or actually they have a mortgage on it and they're paying, $2,000 a month. Well, that $2,000 a month is really, cutting into their cash flow. So what we can do is we can put a reverse mortgage on that property for this person. We can pay off whatever it is that they have, whatever mortgage they have now. And the nice part is there's no payment after that at all. So that $2,000 a month, let's say they were paying with the mortgage, is now part of their cash flow. They can go on vacation, they can do whatever they want. They don't have a payment. What they will have, they have to pay the taxes, the insurance, the HOA, and maintenance of the property, obviously. But the nice part about this is not only do they not have a payment, they're going to have a line of credit that they can work off of. So depending on the situation, in a lot of cases, it's say 60% of the value or whatever it is. Let's say they have $100,000 this year and another $100,000 they can utilize the second year, because they won't give them the whole thing the first year. They divide it up. So if they have $100,000 to work with, it's just like the equity line we talked about before. If they want to go to Italy, they want to do something, they can access that, you know. And the nice part is that what people have to realize also is the house is appreciating. So down the road, even if you've used up the money in that equity line, there are times that we can refinance the reverse mortgage. There are times that we can refinance that reverse mortgage and get them a little bit more money later on down the road. If you look at the downside, there really isn't a downside. I mean, the downside would be for the heirs, really, because, you know, if the person, the husband and wife, let's say, are utilizing the equity in their property to live off of and have a nice life, and they're traveling and all these nice things, the repayment is every month, whatever that payment would be, comes off the equity of the property. So it slowly starts deteriorating for what, let's say, the property's worth. But there is a positive here, because the property is appreciating, and they'll only do it to 65-70%. So there's always going to be 30 or 40% left equity in the property plus appreciation. So if the person sells or passes away, their heirs get what's left.
So Ed, is there a limit to the dollar amount that they'll let you pull out? Because you told me, like on the HELOC, it was $400,000 or $500,000. Is there a limit on the reverse?
There is. It's 700 and change. Yeah. I'm not exactly sure what the number is, but it's it's in the mid 700s.
And you said that in some cases, a standard first mortgage might be better than the reverse. What are the conditions that would, you know what, let's take a break and then we'll talk about reverse versus standard mortgage and what's better for somebody.
Okay.
Mr. Mendoza, it's your time. You can hold. Hey everybody, it's Jim Freed here. I want to thank our friends at Warren Henry. Really appreciate also having Ed Cairo on the show today. Our friends at Warren Henry treat us like family. They're wonderful people. I can't thank Larry, Eric, Warren, Ismet, Jack, Maytal, Katie, all of them. They're all just such wonderful people. We really appreciate our relationship with Warren Henry. They got my wife in the brand new QX60 before anybody else had it. I can't thank them enough. They treat my mom like gold when she comes in for service. If that's what you're looking for in your transportation partner, then Warren Henry is your place to go. And if you're looking to buy or lease a car, you always want to get every advantage that you can. That's why you have to check out Warren Henry. Land Rover, Range Rover, Infiniti, Jaguar, and Lincoln up at 151st and Biscayne. Got a new store in South Dade for Land Rover, Range Rover. They've got a store in the Keys that sells all their great nameplates. And of course, up in Gainesville, they've got the Audi store that sells all the Audi cars that are so tremendous. What do all those cars have in common? Well, besides being great cars, they all come with the Warren Henry advantage. You know by now, long list of services that you can get from Warren Henry when you take your car in for service. It starts with a reserved service loaner. If you need to leave your car, they'll, replace your keys if you lose them. Those are expensive. I always scrape up my rims. They always are polishing up my rims. Oh, Jim, you got another rim thing to polish up. It's great. I love doing that. They will make sure that you're getting the best value when you trade in your car. They'll make sure you're getting the best price on your lease or purchase of your new car. They'll give you 3 days to make sure you love that new car. And, nobody ever turns their car back. They all love those cars. They're so great. I have to admit it. I sneak driving my wife's beautiful QX60 all the time. I do love my car too, but her car is smoking great. Let's see. What else? Well, join me, my friends, my beautiful wife Vivian. We're all members of the Warren Henry family. You should be too. Always the best price, always the best service, always Warren Henry. Hi, I'm Jim Freed. You can see in the corner, I'm the founder of Sandstone Realty Advisors. I help people from all over the world on their real estate transactions. I have clients from Brazil, Australia, New Zealand, Argentina, Canada, Europe, all over the world, the Middle East, Israel, other places in the Middle East as well. Reach out to me, give me a call. I treat everybody with kindness and respect. My personal brand is that I self-actualize by helping other people achieve their dreams and goals. I do that by solving their problems and bringing them peace of mind, which is why I have the association with Ed Cairo for residential mortgages. I'm helping a lot of my friends and clients in contacts with that right now. So I'm flexible and I'm creative. I'm going to be leaving here and going out to West Dade and looking at an industrial project that I'm helping to finance for one of the big developers here in town after this podcast. So, it's all kinds of product, multifamily, industrial, retail, office, condo, apartments, land. I do all those things. I know who to go to. I've got great relationships with the local families, with a bunch of national family offices as well. Lots of real estate operating companies, and of course, institutions of every stripe and kind. So reach out to me, give me a call. Remember, whenever you call me, it's always all about you.
Welcome back to Freed on Business. Connect with us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Jim Freed or at Freed on Business, and on Instagram at Jim Freed 1. Now, back to your host, Jim Freed.
I want to remind everybody next week we're going to have the Silver Knights on. I want to thank Lisa Paley, as always, for delivering those beautiful people. So tune in next week. We'll have the Silver Knights on, and it's always a wonderful feel-good show. Talking about feel-good, let's bring Mr. Feel-Good himself back on, Ed Cairo, king of the feel-good food. How are you, Ed?
I'm doing well.
So we were talking earlier about reverse mortgage versus regular mortgage, and you hit me with something that I wasn't really expecting. So if somebody gets a reverse mortgage, and then after at the end, you can finance that out with a regular standard first mortgage. Why wouldn't you go with the first mortgage in the beginning?
Well, I think the biggest part of it is that when people are on a fixed income, not to have a payment is very, very important to a lot of people.
Payment.
Big, no payment, and have access to their equity in the form of an equity line of credit, so to speak, that's built into the reverse. So for a lot of people, it really makes sense. I mean, it's not cheap to do. I mean, it's expensive, you might say, but when you think about it, to not have a payment and to have the access to the line of credit, I mean, is a game changer for a tremendous amount of retired people. It doesn't have to be retired either, but I mean,
anybody over 62.
Yeah, anybody over 62, if this makes sense for their lifestyle, I mean, I think it's a good move. For somebody's parent, let's say, like as an example, if my mother needed to do this, I would encourage her to do it, because the only downside, like I said before, is there's a little less equity left over for the four of us, the children. Right?
It's none of your business. This is what your mom worked hard for, to let her enjoy her life. And
I'd rather her live her money.
One of the things is that when you move a really elderly person, it really, I think, has an impact on their longevity. Once you move them out of a familiar place, I've seen it over and over again that things go downhill pretty fast once they're in new surroundings that they're not familiar with. So I think that if they have the ability, that you really do have to bend over backwards, keep them in place, especially if that's their desire. And I also think that you need to document the whole thing and make sure that there is no question within the family that you did this at the request of the person, and the person was competent and knew what was going on, so that nobody thinks that you did any equity stealing or anything else like that.
I agree. And that's a huge point that you just made, because everything has to be up front on the table. Everybody has to understand why we're doing this for that person. And there's also a counseling too. You don't just do an reverse mortgage for somebody. They've got to go through a counseling session, and, a third party will let them know exactly the ins and outs of this deal. They will look at all the numbers, and make sure that, everything is up and up. So, it's really not a bad situation for somebody that needs something like this. It's actually, in my opinion, I think it's a great tool.
Well, you already said you'd put your own mother in it. I don't know what a better endorsement there is of a particular product than that. And I'm glad that you said that, because a lot of my close friends are talking to me about this, and I'm getting a bunch of calls. And, sometimes you can do it. Other times you can't. We've had a couple of people that have called us that didn't have any real, that were already maxed out. And, there's really nothing we can do with somebody that's maxed out. But people that have been conservative, people that have paid off their mortgage, people that have they're in a place where they have incredible equity, this is a great solution. And now that we have the cost of occupancy going up, with the insurance, and if you want to get Citizens, you also got to get the flood insurance. Usually, people are looking at, doubling and tripling of this expense. And even if it goes from $3,000 to $15,000, which we're seeing in a lot of places now, that's going from like $500 to $1,500 a month. And when you're only getting $2,250 a month in Social Security, that can break you.
That's right. And I think what you said before is very true too. To keep somebody in their home mentally is really, really important. So if there's a way that they can possibly do that, this is a good tool to utilize if that's exactly what's needed.
I wanted to talk mechanics for just a minute, Ed. It used to be that I'd sit down with somebody on the phone, I'd interview them, I'd take what they call a 1003, do the whole program and stuff like that manually. I haven't done that in a couple of years because people are clicking online. Tell me about the application process.
Well, that's a very good question. The application process has definitely changed. And right, in the old days, it was an interview. You'd sit down and fill out an application by hand, and there was a lot of room for error in that, right? Different Social Security numbers and addresses and whatever. So the way we're pretty automated as a company, and that's why we brought my middle brother in, because we're the two dinosaurs. My brother Paul and I, and Greg is the guy that brought us up to the 21st century. But the way it works now is that the person can go right on my website. We built a beautiful website, and they can go right on the website, fill out the application themselves. They can pull their own credit if they want. I mean, there's a lot of nice things that it offers them. And I find that, number one, if it's your property and your property address and your Social Security number, you tend to and you spell your name right. I mean, normally that's the way it's going to work, So we lose a lot. We have a lot less error that way. People fill out their own application. They have an idea what's going on at that point. And what will happen is once it's filled out, we'll download it into our system. And then it's very clear. I give them a list of things that I need. They upload the documents right in. So within a day, I can have the documents out to them for signatures, and we're off and running. Where in the old days, it would take a week or two before it gets to that level. So, I mean, we're closing these loans pretty fast.
Everybody's about speed and execution today. Where are your brothers? They always photobomb us, those ugly dudes. Where are they?
Call them over here.
Hey guys, I'm hearing them in the background. So that just means they're closing loans. Actually, I don't want them to come on because I got 3 different loans in process. I don't want them to drop a thing. They're like the guy spinning the plates back there. So Ed, we're gonna kind of wrap up. What's a good final thought that you can leave? And I want to preface this by saying that it's not the old days where everybody could be a mortgage broker for residential. They've really increased the requirements. They make people do a lot of continuing ed. The ranks have really thinned. It's not your guy that was valet cars last night and then doing this today. Yeah. So you really are a financial advisor now. Yeah. We've been talking about how you would advise a couple of different categories of people. Give people your advice in general that you give when somebody comes in on an interview and they're seeking a mortgage. What's your advice?
Well, it's a great question. I mean, the first thing I would say is that I think people are on the internet, they'll listen to their friends. Not everybody understands what products are available to them. And once we ask certain questions, it opens up like a window to be able to really understand what it is that they need. And once we do that, all of a sudden they're going to say to themselves, wow, I didn't realize that you can do this. I didn't realize you can do that. So it's really important whether whether you decide you're doing something or not, just to have a conversation. And I'm always willing to do that. I mean, I have a lot of customers that call me, and I tell realtors, even if I'm not doing the deal, call me. Have your customer call me. I will answer any question they want. If they're working with somebody else, I have no problem doing that, because education is everything today. And we structure loans in such a way that a lot of times people didn't even realize that these things are available to them. So that's my advice. My advice is, let's talk about it. Give me a call. Give Jim a call. Let's see what it is that you want. And it may not be for now. It might be 6 months from now or a year from now. Let's plan. Let's get yourself to the point where you'll do what you need to do for yourself.
A lot of people talk to their personal banker. They think if that person says no, that it's the end of the game. Usually they're in business to say no. The banks really don't want these loans. There's a lot of reasons why. We can go into that in a different show. So we know the people that are lending. We know all the different structures. We're current in the market. We have relationships with the lenders. We can help the lenders see specific points they may not otherwise see. And we've had, in some cases, decades of relationships with these lenders, Ed. That's why I work with you. I can't thank you and the boys enough. I want to thank you for being on the show today. I want to thank you for everything you do for my clients and my family. You're just tremendous, Ed. When we were introduced by, I'll give him credit, Ron Freed, I really didn't know what to expect. I had been bounced around to a bunch of different mortgage loan originators, and I really was seeking somebody that was professional, that projected confidence, and was helpful, that I had value system alignment with. So, Ed, I want to thank you and your brothers for really being of the same mind as me, where we're all about helping people, achieving peace of mind by helping them solve problems. And I can't thank you enough. And it is true, whenever they call us, Ed, it's always all about them. So thank you. Thank you to your brothers. And I really do appreciate what you've done for my friends and family.
You're welcome, Jim. And you know what? We really appreciate working with you too, because I only align myself with people that care about people, and you're definitely one of those people. So that's very important.
I care about you guys right after I care about the clients. Mr. Mendoza, I care about you and your family. Why don't we go to break and we'll come back and wrap the show? Thanks so much, Ed. I really do appreciate
You're
you.
welcome.
God bless you, man.
Thank you. God bless you.
I love those aerials. They're showing all the different places we can make loans on. But want to thank Larry and the folks at Warren Henry. Larry's in, Eric Day, Warren Zinn, Ismet Yagzi, Maytel Stark, my good friend Jack. He's the F&I guy. They all help me buy cars, understand what's going on in the car space. And it really is comforting. It's an unusual situation. When you go to buy a car, it's a big purchase. You don't feel comfortable. Gio got my salesperson. It's always tremendous with me. I can't thank them enough. I have 3 Infinities right now. My mom, my wife, and me, we all have Infinities, and they're tremendous cars. They're extremely wonderful and reliable. So if you're looking to buy or lease a car, you always want to make sure you're getting the best deal and every advantage that you can. And that's why you have to check out Warren Henry Land Rover, Range Rover, Infiniti, Jaguar, Lincoln up at 151st and Biscayne. We've got a gorgeous store down in South Dade where they do Land Rover and Range Rover. They've got a great store in Key West. Maybe I'm going to go there this summer just for a trip, and maybe it'd be great. Maybe I can go with Larry. They've got great cars down there. And of course, I've been to their store many times in Gainesville up on Main Street, where they sell Audis. All those cars are great cars, and they all come with the Warren Henry Advantage. The Warren Henry Advantage is a great list of services you get. Of course, the ability to reserve a service loaner. You call May, you tell her you're bringing it in. She'll have a car ready for you if it's going to take a while. Let's see, by now, I'm always losing my keys. They help me replace those fancy keys. Now I've got 2 on the same keychain. I lose them, I'm in deep doo-doo. Let's see what else. Oh, the rims. If you park close to the curb and scrape up your rims, they'll help polish them. They want to make sure you're driving a great car and you're getting a great feeling and getting a bunch of extra things from them. They'll make sure that you've got 3 days to return your car once you buy it. Nobody ever does that because they're such great cars. So, they'll guarantee that you're getting a great value, the best value for your used car. They'll guarantee the best price on your lease or new car. My gosh, have I given you enough great things that they do there yet? Join me, my beautiful, lovely wife, Vivian. I love her so much. She's my everything. My mom just turned 85 and she's still kicking and driving her gorgeous car. She loves that car. Lots and lots of my friends, they're all members of the Warren Henry family. You should be too. Always the best price, always the best service, always Warren Henry. I am Jim Freed, founder of Sandstone Realty Advisors. Reach out to me, DM me, email me, call me. Doesn't matter. Just find me because I help people solve their problems. You know that my personal brand is that I self-actualize by helping other people achieve their dreams and goals. I do that by helping them identify and then solving those problems, and that brings them peace of mind. You can imagine what the peace of mind I'm bringing to people with those reverse mortgages and those HELOCs. They're busy people in most cases, and I'm taking the load off their mind and either taking care of their family or helping them pull out cash that they can use to live when they don't have a lot of cash on hand. So reach out to me in the residential space, in the commercial space, and we'll be talking more about that on the upcoming shows. Reach out to me because I've just created an alliance with Oasis Pro for my tokenization platform. We'll talk more about that, look at some prior episodes. I'm extraordinarily creative. I do business with people from all over the world. I'm always out in front with the new ideas. So call me, reach out to me, DM me, let me bring my experience, that's my gray hair, my experience to you. And remember, whenever you call me, it's always all about you.
Welcome back to Freed on Business. Connect with us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Jim Freed or at Freed on Business, and on Instagram at Jim Freed1. Now, back to your host, Jim Freed.
Well, you saw me interview Ed, and next week we're going to have the Silver Knights on. Some of the best that South Florida has to offer for our young people. It'll really make you feel good to know there really is a positive future out for all of us. The world will be in good hands because we'll have leaders like this. One of my good friends won the Silver Knight, and he went on to lead the orthopedics practice at Mount Sinai. These kids have tremendous futures, and their presence and recent past aren't so bad either. We'll hear all from them. We'll hear about them from them. And again, I want to always thank Lisa Paley for putting that together for us. And of course, Mr. Mendoza for working on all the production aspects for me. High five to Mr. Mendoza. I don't know if you can do like a thing there, Mr. Mendoza, but whatever. So we've now joined up with Oasis Pro Markets to do our real estate online tokenization. We'll talk more about that in the coming weeks. We are FINRA and SEC compliant. So we'll talk more about that as soon as I get the talking points from them and what I can and can't say. But if you're looking to capitalize your real estate deal, there's very few sources of capital out there today, but you can reach out to me. I've got some really great creative ideas, and I'm working on new ones every single day. So we'll profile that. We've done it in a couple of other shows. If you want more information about that, email me or DM me, and we'll be more than happy to do that. You see the nature of the clients, everybody from Tom Handler to Ed Cairo and everybody in between. They all have what I like to call value system alignment. That's why Mr. Turkel and the rest of them come on our show. It's because we project kindness and goodness in a way that helps people move forward in their lives. Everything we do here today is formatted around helping people have a better life later today and tomorrow than they did before they watched the show. So I want to thank everybody for being here today. I want to thank our friends again at Warren Henry. Thank you to Larry and Eric and the rest of the team up there. Remember, if you're looking to buy or lease a car, you want to get every advantage that you can. That's why you have to check Warren Henry and become a member of the Warren Henry family, like my family and a lot of my friends. Check us out. The next podcast will drop next Wednesday at noon. We do them live. So we'll have the folks from the Silver Knight Award winners on. We're finalizing the list of young people, as well as I believe we're going to have one of the coordinators on this year. So it's going to be really inspiring. It makes me feel wonderful. It's some of our highest viewership goes on those episodes. And remember, I want to thank our sponsors, the Bergstrom Center for Real Estate Studies, Warren Henry. I want to thank you. Without you, there wouldn't be a podcast or a show. I want to thank Mr. Mendoza, the rest of my podcast and production team. And I want to make sure you reach out to me. Remember, I do this because I love this. We'll be on next Wednesday, again, with a new show at noon. And let's see, I think I've covered it all. Remember, the person who wants to do something finds a way. The other finds an excuse. Now join me and all the people I hang out with and do business with. Go out there and make it happen. God bless you. and God bless the United States of America. Mr. Mendoza, time for you to shine.